Hope you guys are doing well. There's this new phenomenon I really am starting to recognize right now, or maybe it's been going on, and I'm starting to recognize it right now. And it's this craving, this thirst for regime change operations that certain neocons, he brands himself as a moderate, I guess, but there's this imperialist urge that individuals in the United States have, some individuals, especially the neocons, for regime change operations everywhere, but not for America's interests, but for Israel's. And these people claim to love America and care about America, but they don't recognize that every time they do this, American lives are at risk and it spikes up our national debt. There really isn't that, one and two, there isn't that mental thought. So take a listen to Bill Maher, what he recently said, and let's talk about it.
We've seen these demonstrations in Iran before, but this was bigger and more people have died. But I think maybe more people have died because he said he was going to help. This looks like a Bay of Pigs to me. This looks like America's going to come and help you. Where is it? Remember the Kurds in '91 when they thought they were going to get help from America? Vietnam could make the same claim. I mean, a lot of people have felt let down by us. I thought Trump was different. Where are you on this? Because all these bodies that I see, these body bags in Iran, I think a lot of those people went in the streets because they thought, oh, he said he's got our back this time. Where's the help?
Well, the generals have told us.
So, of course,
short of sending in massive
let's just stop right there. Why does America have to be the global police force? Genuinely, why does America have to be the global police force? America can do as much as it's already giving. In Gaza, America's supplying all the weapons, it can cut that off. Why does America have to risk itself to be the global police force for something that a war that Israel is pushing for? Thinking that, that's the first thing. Second thing is thinking that if there's a regime change operation, all of a sudden you're going to have a Western-backed government is the most ridiculous assertion that anybody has made and really doesn't actually understand what's happening on the ground. They don't understand what's happening in Iran when it comes to what the people want. To think that a regime change operation is immediately going to lead to a Western-backed government, thinking Reza Pahlavi is immediately going to take the throne, and all of a sudden there's going to be a Western-backed government, everything's going to be fine and dandy. That could happen, and there's also a big chance it couldn't. And all of a sudden you're going to start to see ISIS flags all over the country. And one of the main reasons the United States doesn't want to involve itself is because there's a lot of unknowns for what happens afterward. And make no mistake, U.S. sanctions and sanctions on Iran that isolated it is what initially led and sparked these protests because people are poor. People are poor, they have no money. And when people have no money, they're going to start to protest because the cost of living becomes high. This is pretty obvious. So, I mean, take a listen. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. I really like this guy's statement regarding Iran. So take a listen to what he had to say here.
Is an awful, putrid one of a bunch of crazy mullahs. Not loyal. The question is, who actually takes over? Iran has multi-layers of governance. Sure, the top layer is an awful, putrid one of a bunch of crazy mullahs, not loved by anyone, in fact, hated. But the fact is, if you remove that, who actually takes over? It's not going to be the Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah. There is no other natural leader. The protesters in the streets, yeah, some have been killed. Don't know if it's 30,000 or if it's 3,000 or if it's 300. Any number of that is terrible, but not our problem. It is not the primary responsibility of the United States. And I do not want U.S. foreign policy dictated by what is good for Tel Aviv. And I feel like that the Iran issue keeps getting dragged back to the top of the focus. I'm with you. Let's deal with the communists in our own cities and clean that rot out before we worry about Iran exactly 8,000 miles away from the United States.
I mean, there you go. I think he said it perfectly. Why the hell does the United States have to get involved? Well, it's because the strong and brutal and ruthless force of the Israel lobby, in the United States, of course, not just AIPAC, every other Israel-affiliated, Zionist-affiliated lobby in the United States that is bloodthirsty for this war. We have political commentators in the United States like Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, advocating for this. Ben Shapiro advocating for, both of them advocating for every single Middle Eastern war. Why? Well, because it benefits Israel. There's no true allegiance to the United States insofar that it benefits Israel for these two individuals, for many individuals within the AIPAC crowd. Otherwise, AIPAC wouldn't have spent decades pushing anti-Iran legislation, making sure there's never a peace deal between the United States and Iran. Isn't it in America's interest to have peace around the world? Isn't that what they say? America should have peace around the world. Then why do you oppose peace with a foreign country? Why oppose that? People in their respective countries are happy. The countries are functioning when there's no sanctions. Sanctions imposed on a country, I think, is just it's a mass. It's a mass attack on everybody that lives there because ultimately everybody becomes poor. It's very difficult for people to sustain their livelihoods. So why are we imposing these mass sanctions? Well, of course, because Iran is trying to develop. They say Iran is trying to develop nuclear weapons. Tulsi Gabbard recently made an assessment stating that no, they're not trying to develop nuclear weapons. And ultimately, this really affects Israel more than anybody else. Really affects Israel more than anybody else, but they don't want to recognize that, and we're just going to pretend that all of Israel's enemies are America's enemies, just like they say that all of a sudden now Hamas and Hezbollah are America's enemies, as if their only existence, the only reason they even exist is because of Israel's existence trying to wipe out Palestinians. That's ultimately the truth of it. Whether or not you like the way they operate, they're a U.S. designated terrorist group that's not in support of them on this platform. I'm just saying this is why these groups came to light. This is exactly why. And I think if you don't make that clear, honest assessment, then you're going to be, you're just not going to be acting in a way that's honest about the facts on the ground. That's just the truth of the situation. Now, Israel has done a really good job with propaganda in the United States, a really good job. I mean, look at the ways that they're doing it. They're censoring content on social media, but even prior to social media existing, controlling the narrative in the media, the newspapers, the TV, everything you see, radio, really making sure that the narrative is locked in, and any dissenting voices are immediately shut down, called anti-Semitic, called hateful, called kooky, mentally insane. I mean, I think a lot about it. I made a whole series on this guy. This is one of my first videos that actually gained traction on this app or on this website, and it was the video of the congressman that the Israel lobby worked so hard to put in prison. Oh my gosh, I made weeks-long research on this guy and put the whole video together. Oh, James Traficant. And the guy, all he did was call out the fact that Israel is pushing us into wars in the Middle East. And this was before, I mean, he was doing this in the early 2000s, much earlier to the level of acceptance people have about saying it now. And he risked his life. He put his life on the line, literally. He got kicked out of Congress heavily by the Israel mob, pushing him, spreading lies about him, stating that he was corrupt when he wasn't. I made a whole series. You guys should really check that series out to show you just how powerful the Israel lobby is in America when dissenting voices come out about Israel's war desires. Americans are getting real sick of it. And make no mistake, if there's ever boots on the ground in another foreign country, it's not the actions of war that will make the American empire weaken, but it's the costs of war. It's the cost of war, just like it was in Rome. It wasn't the wars that Rome necessarily fought, but it was the costs of war that threw the entire empire down. It collapsed in on itself because the people that lived in the empire no longer could afford anything. It's the costs of war, the debt on the war, that ends up messing up, destroying a country from the inside out. So that's really it for this video, guys. I hope you found it interesting. If you like my channel, I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. Helps me reach more people like you. Also, I recently started my membership, so if you really want to support my channel and help me do this as a full-time job, when you join as a member below, you get access to more daily recap videos, about one a day right now. And also, you're able to go ahead and tell me if you want to see more video topics that you want to choose. You can also do that there. That's it, guys. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.